Oh, yeah. What's going on, guys? Check it out. Retro Revolution on live right now. It's time for the show of all shows. It's time to break down. That's right. Break down on topics, local, retro, anything under the sun involving the retro video game community. Going live into the screen. Check it out, guys. Shooting it right now. What's up, guys? Checking in. Everybody can start waving now. We're live.
What's up? We got the Deuce. We got Mr. Mysterious. We got Captain Redbeard in the house. Not much of a beard left, but
no beard.
He's getting it back. We also have Retro Death Row in the house.
Right.
Today we are keeping it going. We're going to touch on a few topics that came up in previous ones, in previous breakdowns, as well as covering some new topics, getting this going and having some fun. We are going to start out today just keeping an eye on the chat. There is a lot of people joining us now, but we're going to get going. The first thing I want to cover is a couple of weeks ago, we covered the possible GameStop buyout.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a huge topic. We want to follow up on that. Guys, what do you think is going on? We want to get some input from not only our people right in front of us here, but also from the audience. So keep the questions and comments rolling in as we begin. And we're going to start with Retro Death Row here. I know he's got some opinions about GameStop, so let's get going.
Gamers in general have opinions about GameStop. None too short either. But okay, so apparently this just broke yesterday. It's been in the talks for a while, but that GameStop is very likely to be sold within the month. So by February, GameStop could very well have a new owner. They're looking to, find ways to change up the brand. Nobody's admitting anything yet. GameStop's not saying anything. The two possible buyers aren't saying anything. No one wants to confirm it, but basically GameStop has made statements saying they're wanting to prepare for the future of retail gaming, because physical gaming obviously is kind of waning a bit in recent years. Everyone seems to be going digital. They're even saying that everything could be all digital by 2022. My thought on that is, what would it mean to the gaming community if GameStop ceased to exist, and should they still exist?
That's a good counter question. Yeah, I have some pretty strong opinions on that. Mr. Mysterious Redbeard, what do you have to interject there?
I guess for me, as a person, I've never really shopped a lot of GameStop. I used to be an electronics boutique fan, just to let you know. But in all honesty, he's right. The concept of the physical copy of a video game is dying. Everything is now becoming more, purchased online and whatnot. And I think personally that it takes away the fun of waiting online late at night, to wait for that midnight opening of a game and standing there talking with people like, oh man, can you believe that the new Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out? I'm standing online. I'm so excited to get a physical copy. Now it's like you download it online and it's like, it sucks, and it's not the same anymore. And with that in corresponding to GameStop, it shuts down the GameStop stores that carry these type of things anymore. I mean, it's not going to be available like it used to be. It's just, I think it's a bad idea what they're doing. Just the overall, the buyout, I think is going to be terrible. And even though I remember RGT actually, we're going to reference him for a minute. He mentioned something about on one of his streams about they kind of have like a, you know what ThinkGeek is, right, guys? I mean, ThinkGeek, they're doing something similar where it's kind of like it's a multitude of just not video games, but like nostalgia and collectibles and stuff. And it was like a boutique they had in the Mall of America. And while that's a great option, I still think, you know, like Retro Death Row said that when 2020 shows around and there's no physical copies anymore, you know, what's the fun in collecting, you know?
Yeah, like, you won't get stuff like this. Like, I got like this. This is like a newer game. But then you get like NES. Like, there's going to be no more physical copies. Wow. Super Nintendo, there's going to be no more physical copies. It's it's going to be pointless. It's like, oh, I got a PlayStation and a hard drive, you know? That's
how many times have you ever bought a digital copy of something and then lost the license on it? It's hilarious because just, I want to say about 6 months ago, I went to watch Ghostbusters through my Google account, and it was no longer there. But you know what was in my Google account? The new Ghostbusters with the all-female cast. I have never watched that movie. I would never pay money for that movie. And I actually called the Google support number, and I was like, no, we're sorting this out. That's it. Yeah. And went round and around with them. Google up and down denied that I'd ever purchased the original Ghostbusters. And at the end of the day, wouldn't give it back to me. So there's something to be said about the ownership of having a physical copy of something and not just purchasing some digital license that just exists in the air. Yeah. I think if GameStop goes under, as much as everyone, you know, loves to hate on GameStop, and I think for several really valid reasons, it's totally going to change the landscape of what retail game purchasing looks like.
That's true.
You're no longer going to have this place that you can go to that's going to be everywhere, have a really wide selection of games, and have knowledgeable staff that can help you out. Have you ever tried to talk to someone who works at Walmart about what a game is or what it's about?
What's a game?
Yeah,
it's going to change the landscape big time.
Well, real quick, I just want to shout out Roman Cartwright with 10 stars. Well appreciated. Thank you for the stars. And, of course, huge. Ronan Rose with 500 stars saying, shut that shit down. I mean, just to let you know, guys, real quickly, all stars that are sent in are donated to charity. Just want to clear out above the board so everyone's aware. If you do donate stars, it's well appreciated during the stream. And it does go automatically to charity. So let's keep it rolling. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just going to add to your comments is, GameStop, for all intents and purposes, makes a very good bad guy. You love to hate them. You hate to love them. But where else do you go when it's 8 o'clock at night and you need 2 Wii Classic controllers, and you don't want to pay $40 a piece for the OEM stuff? You want a used one, but you don't want third-party crap. But I mean, there is a place in the market for GameStop, but the problem is I think they've forgotten their place in the market, and they are trying to ride on the margin versus being a gaming store. They're trying to be a retail store versus being a gaming store, and I think that's killed their audience. And I'm with Alistair Norman in the comments. He says hard copies forever.
Yes,
you are never going to get rid of hard copies.
True.
As much as they may try, you're always going to have a hard copy market. Now, what I think is going to happen is there's going to start being a price separation between hard copy and digital copy, because digital copy, you don't have to pay for distribution. You don't have to pay for the overhead of the store. The money is going to, that money's got to be there on the hard copy where it doesn't on the digital copy. But I don't necessarily see GameStop dying. I do see them changing. So yeah.
You guys see the stars there? Roman says for 10 stars that his that GameStop ripped him off for his N64. I mean, come on, Rome. You got to fight back, buddy. You know?
You know what? They're going to rip you off on the used market because they still have to make that margin on the used stuff. So you might sell to somebody else for 100, GameStop is selling for 130, but they're only going to pay you 44. You know, that's the way that market rolls because they have to pay for that overhead.
Yeah, it's right, but you know, and I get that totally. For me, I'm someone who likes to wheel and deal on Craigslist and Facebook groups and stuff like that, local Facebook market. I don't ever anticipate to get anything good for used games from really honestly any game store. I don't know if you guys have vintage stock out where you are, but there's a vintage stock in my area. I was kind of new back into retro collecting, and I had 2 copies of Illusion of Gaia, and I wanted to unload one of them. And I was like, call it vintage stock. I do a lot of business there. Asked them how much they give me for it. $6.
Oof,
$6 for Illusion of Gaia. You know, that's just shameful. You know, and most of the hate that I tend to hear about GameStop is what they give on, you know, cash and trade-ins and stuff. And I will say that they have some really awesome trade-in promotional deals where you can like get double value and stuff like that. A lot of the Facebook collectors that I know really cash in on those. They trade in a whole bunch of garbage they don't want. They get double value and put that in towards something. But it's funny because I say all these things that are positive about GameStop, but I'll tell you what, I don't buy a lot of games there. So, you know, the majority of the stuff that I end up buying there is accessories and stuff that my kids like. It's all the geek merchandise and stuff. You know, I might not go and buy the newest copy of Civilization 4 on Switch, which I just got from Target for $40 on a hella good sale. But I will go to GameStop and buy some Steven Universe action figures for my kids.
Well, just wanted to give a quick shout out in the chat. Leonard Kyle Pleasanton saying what's up to everybody. So as well as don't fear the Chadness, Mr. Death Row. Chad Thibodeau checking in as well. Grizzly B13 saying this is why he hates the GameStop because of the way they treat the workers. And checking, let's see, Chris Redbird's in the house as well. I mean, everybody just chiming in, questions, talks, and conversations going there. Ronan Rose, GameStop in Florida won't even take retro consoles. Holy shit, I didn't know that. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Most GameStops won't take anything older than like PlayStation 3, Wii U, you know, one generation back. And that I think is a market GameStop is missing out on, is the retro console market. Retro game market.
They have some more retro options online. I don't even know how that works, but I know, like, you know, Pat the NES Punk and, you know, CU Podcast, they go on about all the stuff that people sell, like repro editions of Earthbound and, you know, all these high dollar games. So I don't really buy anything from them in that way.
Sure.
But Grizzly B13 mentioned up there a minute ago something that I think is really interesting is that the difference of pricing between hard copy and digital copy. You typically don't see a whole lot of love for digital. You think you're not having to print anything out. You're not having to ship anything out. You're not having to stock it on shelves. You're not having to. All you have to do is put it on an online marketplace, knock $10 off the price is all I'm saying. But very rarely does that happen.
Yeah. And I don't know that necessarily the digital will go down in price. It's that we'll see the physical copies go up. Instead of $60 for a brand new premium game, you're paying $80, $90 for a brand new premium game.
Well, that's how it is now. I mean, actually, a lot of the collectible nows are really becoming about $70, $80, $90 on open, only because it's a collectible. Beyond that, the physical copies, they're just kind of weaning that off. If you're doing that. Let's see. Ronan Rose for a great topic. We all had mixed feelings, he's saying. Well appreciated. And real quick, Frankie J saying hey to what's up to us. And they quit taking PS3s, which I had no idea. Holy shit.
Wow.
They just did around here right after Christmas.
No kidding. Well, oh well.
Yep. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
All
Speaking of Christmas, anybody else notice the price of a PlayStation Mini, the classic console, went down by $40 the day after Christmas?
Yeah, who called that one?
I don't want to talk about that.
That's
Actually,
crazy.
I bought it for $90. Why?
Oh, crazy.
Hey, if you bought a PlayStation Classic for retail price, own up to it in the chat. Say, I got one. I want to see who all bought one.
I am not ashamed I bought it. You want to know something? To be honest with you, I hacked it. And once I figured out how to get to play more of the NTSC stuff, it actually is not bad. It's all right. It's a little. You can see the slowness, the drag down a little bit of it. But realistically, it's not so bad. I mean, it's I'm okay with it. I mean, to me, having a PS1 Classic rather than pulling out the old unit, shuffling through 100 freaking games. I have more than one on thumbstick. Bing bang boom. I make use of it. So to me, it's exactly as a PlayStation collector. I like I said before, I have the top 10 rarest PlayStation 1 games. I own them all. Everything from Suikoden 2. What's that game? The Dreaming game. I can never remember the name of that fucking game offhand. Elemental Gearbox Collector's Box. I was a big PS1 fan, so for me as a collector, I'm satisfied with, regardless on people hating it. I love it, so it's all good. And what's he saying? It sucks. Shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up, Steve. All right? Fuck you. Fuck you and the fucking Patriots. Anyway.
That's the thing is now that they're hackable, I think their value has actually gone up.
Yes.
And what they should have done is started it at the $60 price point and then raised it.
Yeah.
But it was that pre-Christmas market. Yeah. And, the big thing is once you get on board with the PlayStation 1 Classic, it's hard not to go into the hacking and, getting all the extra games. You could get a 256 gig thumb drive for, $50 now. Yep. And that'll hold, a couple hundred PlayStation games. Mm-hmm. So nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with the PlayStation Classic. And this is kind of what everyone predicted, is that once it was hackable, boom, instant replay value.
Of course. That's
much better value.
Well, that was the goal. I mean, I originally bought it myself because I was waiting for them to hack it. Once it was hacked, it's an open field. Just like anyone that bought an SNES or an NES Mini. You didn't buy it to play the 30 fucking games on it. You bought it because you knew they were going to hack it, and you could play 700 fucking games on it. It's just
right.
That's what I bought it for. It's just common sense.
Yeah, I had one pre-ordered. The day that they announced that it was going to be released, I pre-ordered it. And then week after week, more news would come out about it. And then the final straw for me was when I heard about the PAL versus NTSC games were loaded on it. And at that point, I was just like, that's it. I'm canceling this thing. I was like, it's going to sell terrible. I'm going to buy one when it goes down half price. That's it. But this is the thing. And Sony really kind of shot themselves in the foot with this thing, in that they charged so stinking much for it. With the NES and the SNES Classic coming out and just being baller systems, really affordable. Everyone loves them and they're flying off of shelves. And then you got the PlayStation. It's like, oh man, they're charging real money for this thing. This is going to be great. Oh, no analog sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to get this and this and this. And then there's 3 good games on it. And then as time goes on and you realize that you're getting not even the NTSC titles. RGT85 really nailed it in his video, I'll say. I mean, we're giving him a lot of love tonight, apparently. But
the man knows his shit.
I was just like, that's it. I'm out.
Actually, one person I was going through it here. Oh, Roman Courtright says you can hack my butthole.
Later, buddy.
Hard pass.
Ronan Rose actually does have a question for all of us. What is the rarest game that you have? I'll go first real quickly. Obviously, since we were talking about the PS1, the Elemental Gearbox Assassin's Case, which is about $3,000. I was just looking it up because I couldn't remember what the hell it was called. That is actually, I do own that physical item. And that is one of the most rarest items I own currently. But what about you guys real quick?
I don't own it anymore, but I used to own a physical copy of DuckTales 2 for the NES. And that's pretty hard to come by nowadays. I should have kept it, but
try some Game Wheel.
Yeah.
The Game Wheel, you'll find it everywhere. What about you two guys? What about you there, Redface? What about it?
I don't really got anything rare, you know. I just I don't know. I got a Nintendo. I got a Super Nintendo. I don't know.
Is
I
it
don't
a
really got
model?
anything rare. You know what I mean?
Is it model 001? You know.
Right.
Steve Askins, what about you there, buddy?
You know, my rarest one. I don't have a ton of super rare titles, but my rarest one's got to be, and it's not just the game itself, but I've got a complete, really minty copy of Dragon Warrior 4 with all the maps and manuals and all of that stuff that I really lucked into, honestly. But I've also got Bucky O'Hare with a really sweet Blockbuster rental sticker on it.
I didn't know Bucky O'Hare was that rare. I used to have that as well.
Yeah,
that's a rare one.
It's up there. I know that. Grizzly B13 says you used to own an SNES Mega Man X3 cart US version, which is worth money. Chad Thibodeau says, any of you own the gold Zelda 1 cartridge? I do. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that's it. I've only owned the gold Zelda cartridge. Yeah.
Frankie N. Ehrenreich, I think I'm saying it right. Whatever. Frankie says, mine is D, which is all 4 discs for the PlayStation. I know that. And Roman Cartwright saying, you can thank my fans for the stars. Big Rome into his Zoid. That's good stuff there. Matt Sophomore, let's see, but what did he say? But you haven't played Dragon Warrior 4 yet. That's, Death Row.
I have to admit that, yeah, Matt knows me from my channel. Yeah, I have not played it yet. I bought it a few months back, right before I started streaming.
Right.
Still haven't played it. But I'll get there.
Jeremy Bowen says he's got Donkey Kong Country. Oh, boy, you guys have nothing else. And what's it? For the Retro Revolution Cocksock available in February. Ronan wrote 6 stars.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course,
is that anything like a banana hammock?
And can someone ban TC? Because Mysterious eats ass in that mask. I eat a beautiful chick girl. You know what I'm saying? Really nice. Beautiful chick ass. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Speaking of these services and, as we go to digital media and things like that, what about Amazon looking at hosting their own video game streaming service? Not as in uploading like gaming video creators, but rental basically of your video games online, kind of like a Steam almost, but you rent the games instead of owning them.
Well, I mean, we already have GameFly. GameFly, obviously you put in the list and you can get the game sent out to you. I think this is good, but again, what are they going to have? That's what it really is. It comes down to, are they going to only produce, Nintendo, Super Nintendo? Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what they hold out for, really. That's what it is. I think that, there's a huge pro and a huge con to it. Nintendo Switch has their library building. You have PlayStation 4 and Xbox, which already have their own services, for games and stuff like that. I think if you're going to focus with Amazon, focus on the retro market, because that's the only market you're really going to go towards right now that doesn't have a complete, streaming service compared to what's new out there today. I mean, that's that'd be my only advice. Otherwise, who knows? They may just strictly go to Steam, and I know Steam has been a dying breed lately as well. And they may grab all those Steam games and, put them on the Amazon and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Steam, one of the things that they're lacking is a lot of retro, and how retro they go is kind of under debate. So I think maybe if Amazon Prime made it as part of their Prime membership, that would increase the value of the membership a lot.
True.
Not that the membership isn't already valuable, but like if you don't use their their video streaming or things like that, it's okay. Well, I get free 2-day shipping. Who cares? But I think that would greatly increase their Prime membership if they included something like that in the Prime membership. I don't know, just my opinion.
I guess so. I mean, again, it comes down to really what they have versus what they're going to put out there. You really can't take from the PS4 and the Xbox. You really can't take from the the NES or the SNES. So I mean, the Sega Genesis? I don't think I've ever seen a streaming service for Sega Genesis, which is that's a good market. You can niche for. You do have a Genesis core fan base,
Yeah.
So why not take advantage of that? And, of course, the same thing with Steam. A lot of people don't have access to those Steam games, which are, computer-oriented. And obviously now with Amazon, I forget the name of the service, not the service, the Fire Sticks and the Fire TVs now are able to play RetroArch and stuff like that. I know that RetroArch lately, I believe RetroArch is in the process of trying to get Steam games to be separated and universal to themselves. So if that goes the route, forget it. Steam is easy. Any Steam game you ever want to try will be available on the Amazon, but all depends. It's all rumors, you know. That's what I think.
Yeah.
What do you think,
I
Brad?
think you really hit the nail on the head though with that retro option though, because that's something that no one is paying attention to, and it's clearly a really big market. And this is Matt Spoonmore, just the other day we were talking about how Nintendo has made it so difficult for these emulation sites to exist because they've gotten so litigious with these groups. And the thing is that it's getting harder and harder to find ROMs from reputable sites anymore. And I think I get that they're wanting to protect their investments and their IPs and stuff like that, but there's nowhere that you can get that stuff in a legal way. Start charging a monthly fee, or like you said, add it on with your Amazon Prime. If we could have that stuff available through a streaming service, think of how many people would be on board with that.
Well, here's the thing. I'll give you my take on it. Think of how many people won't be on board with that. Brian, check your messages, by the way. You got a message on your Facebook. But the huge thing that I have a problem with is I've already paid for those games. I already have the cartridges. I already have the discs. I already have the physical media. I've paid for those games. I don't want to pay for them again. I don't mind like the Switch where you're getting those games, the playability of those games along with their online service. But what I have a problem with is wanting to charge another $10, $20, $5 for every game that I already own. And this is Switch Online is talking about bringing SNES games. They're expanding their NES online library. To me, that's awesome. I love that. I'm all about that. My issue is when, some of these streaming services are charging again for for what I've already paid for. By the way, we got an extra person coming on with us in just a moment, a special guest.
Yeah, I'm going to get him out right now. Give me a second as I set this all up.
Getting him joining us here for some chit-chat. Another member of the Revolution here. Okay. Got his own page, and I'll let him kind of kick in when he gets here.
What is that noise in the background there, Grizz?
in the audience, tell us what you guys think about expanding library as well as streaming services for video games. Mobile downloads, all this digital media stuff. Let us know what you think.
All right, we'll just let you know we got Grizz B13 checking in. Grizz, can you hear us out there?
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine.
All right, good. I'm just going to have to make your window. You're kind of like in a circle window just for now because I didn't really set it up. We had no idea you were showing up. Welcome the fuck aboard, buddy.
I appreciate it.
All right, we got Grizz B13. I'll get you all set up momentarily. I'll get the little text graphic going live. All right, and let's see, Grizz Face B13. How about that? B13 in the house. How's your game world going there, Grizz? Thanks, No, I'm just breaking your balls, bro. I watched it. I was hoping I would win, too. Unbelievable. Is it Grizzly or Grizz? What do you want to go by?
Grizz is fine for short.
Grizz?
Just make it quick. Yeah, it's fine.
All right, go ahead.
So, Grizz, throw down with what you think is going on with some of this stuff. We've talked about quite a few things, so feel free to chime in on any of them, because that's what we're here for. Just talk about what's going on in gaming news and things like that. So,
yeah. Well, for me, like I was saying in chat there, GameStop, like you guys were saying, I think that digital should give you a little bit of a shave if you're going digital versus physical, because again, they basically want to pocket this so-called extra cost of not shipping it, things of that nature. We've talked about like classic games that were rare that I used to have. Like I said, it kills me that I don't have my physical Super Nintendo Mega Man X3 cart, because that goes for some serious cheddar nowadays.
Naughty.
Yeah, I know, I hear that. And as far as other, like the PlayStation Classic, I want to hack it, but I'm waiting for them to be able to hack it without the damn USB stick. I don't want this thing hanging off of it like a wart, so my kids can just yank it up out of the console, because they're 2 and 5. But
I know that.
yeah, that's just kind of my quick take on everything. Catching up real quick, real fast, unless I miss some other topic.
Retro gaming struggles are real, brother.
Yeah, GameStop should just keep their little meat hooks out of the retro stuff because otherwise they're gonna jack it up. But then you got, people that they say that it's not rare, but because it's popular and it's gaining steam on like YouTube, people want to inflate prices because of that, not because it's rare. So I think that's, you got the good collectors and then you've got the scalpers out there that just want to flip their money for, whatever they're doing. But
Yeah.
Real quick, Carter Cannon, excuse me, has a question for that dude saying, when are you going to send my ghost peppers? What's this story about ghost peppers? What's going on here? You gotta spit it out.
I have a buddy who grows habaneros, ghost peppers, and Carolina Reapers, and unfortunately he's on medical leave at work right now. He's a friend through work. Otherwise, I'm gonna, as soon as he gets back, I'm gonna hit him up and get some Carolina Reapers and some ghost peppers for Carter there. So we were talking about that on stream the other day. He was on Twitch.
Damn, dude, you got a lot of questions. Matt Spoonmore is asking what vaping device you're using there, Mr. D.
This is an Aspire K4. Recently put under a recall for exploding batteries, but man, the flavor is amazing.
Good choice. Good choice there.
What do you
got in that? Yeah. You got a Samsung battery in that thing?
Yeah. Nice.
Alistair saying, go ahead, finish up.
I got the Toyota braking system in it.
Alistair Norman saying, have you guys seen a new Intellivision console coming out in 2020? I have. I am a huge Intellivision fan. I had it when I was 5-6 years old. My parents did, but it looks excellent. It absolutely looks excellent. It's called the Amiga, something like that. I believe what it's called. But that looks excellent, especially if you're a huge Intellivision fan like me. Nostalgia, that is across the boards. Across the boards. I'm a big fan. I'm giving you a like there, Alistair. I'm all about that right there. So what else we got on subjects and topics since we added the Grizzmaster over here? What else? What's next on there, Deuce Face? What do we got? What are we going on with?
We are going with, and I think Grizz is going to have some pretty strong opinions, as may Steve, the Final Fantasy VII HD remake.
Is that still happening? Is that still a thing?
Let Steve take this one first. I'm going to take backseat for a minute. Go ahead, man.
No, dude. Hey, Grizz, I defer to you, buddy. You're just on.
All right. So, I'm looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII hash up because it's going to be multiple chapter, and I think we should get it right about the time the PlayStation 12 comes out because they started working on it with a third-party developer. They had it about approximately 65 to 80% rumored done, and then Square Enix decided to come in and said, no, go ahead and throw all that hard work in the trash, and we're going to take over, and we're going to restart this. But at least my pre-order Kingdom Hearts 3 will be here by February, so at least that'll keep me fed for a while.
So by the way,
I'm kind of in the I'll believe it when I see it camp on that one. It's they've hurt me too many times that they've got to kind of pony up and prove it to me now.
Yeah, it's like the hot 10 girl that is psycho that you're never gonna get.
But she's super nice to you. Every time you see her, she's like, hey, and then you're like, okay.
I showed you an elbow. It's HD.
You can look at my hallmark again.
4K all the way.
They give you the trailer, and then it's friend zone.
Wow, wow, wow.
So real quick, Redbeard, Chad TVO saying, do you practice your voices, or is that just a natural talent?
It's been like a lifelong thing. I don't know. Because, first heard Hank Hill when I was like little. Because it was Mr. Anderson on Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, yeah.
Them kids have been whacking in my tool shed. Yep.
Walking.
And then, I don't know. I just heard somebody else doing it. And I don't know. I just started like trying to do it. And yeah. Yep.
Well,
I felt like trolling you last night and saying, giving you the hashtag from Player One saying "Get good, scrub" on that Zelda hat.
Oh, that was a classic. Just to let you know, last night we had Captain Redbeard playing, and prior to the show in the chat, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna dap up, guys. I'm gonna play this and kick the shit out of this game." And what was it? How long were you on level 1-1 from The Legend of Zelda Mario? 35 minutes.
I don't even know, man.
40 plus
even
viewers,
know.
and he's like, "Yeah, I think I got this level in. I don't know." Crushed. Ronan Rose saying Square is the shit. Kingdom Hearts 3 will come in March. Well, really? I pre-ordered it myself.
End of February, I thought.
That's what I thought myself. Could be wrong.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy VII remake, as far as Square goes, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been really disappointed in their product lately. Pretty much everything by Square, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. But it ultimately boils down to the fact that they are marketing graphics, not a story. And, you know, they put 100+ hours of gameplay that they should have just shot down to 2 hours and let you enjoy the game and learn the story and give it replay value versus staring at a pretty picture the whole time.
Yeah.
Like Grizzly said, it's that hot 10 girl that you're never going to get. You can stare at her all day long, but the fact of the matter is it's no fun in real life. And that's been my take on every Final Fantasy after 9. And they're talking about a totally revamped system. They're talking about, Final Fantasy 15 style and this and that. And it's like, no, I'm just not into that. And there's a lot of retro gamers that share that mentality. No, not everybody does. Some people are just. We had Brannigan, Commodore 64 Brannigan, saying he can't wait. But the thing is, it's like for people like me who enjoyed the story of the game, that doesn't help.
I don't play the game. I never was a fan of Final Fantasy 1 through 50. I just it's not for me. I'm not an RPG player, but I will say the game itself. You're right. I agree. The story, the connection with the fans, you could see it. You could see that the people love it. So to have a remake, I mean, they better either put up or shut the fuck up, straight up. If you don't have a good, if it's not good, then
Yeah.
you're gonna lose a huge quarter of your fan base because of putting out shit products. So you better hope that comes out really, really good.
Yeah, my wife, she recently bought what was it, Final Fantasy 15 for the Xbox One because it was like $25 or $30, and she starts playing it. I'm like, well, it's nice looking, but where's the context? And as a follow up here, Kingdom Hearts 3, from what I'm seeing according to Amazon, if that actually is the case, Kingdom Hearts 3 January 29th. I bought the deluxe pre-order deluxe version, so from Best Buy, I think.
That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be out earlier before February, but people are saying February, March. We'll find out when it comes in. We'll see.
So Chad Thibodeau has a question, and this one's directed at me, and I think he's going somewhere with this, and I kind of agree with it. He said, have you ever seen Mr. Mysterious and Error from Zelda 2 in the same place at the same time? My answer is no, I have not. So, I wonder if he goes around stabbing people with his wang.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm mysterious.
He calls it the Doge.
I'm mysterious. Wow.
Mysterious pans his camera over just a little bit. You're going to see that purple vest hanging over there that Error runs around.
Wait, back there, you mean?
His wife has it.
Yeah.
It's at the dry cleaner.
And here we go, Brannigan, with a very, very interesting comment that a lot of people will beg to differ with, but he says Final Fantasy VIII is the greatest game ever.
Not for me.
Oh, you hear those crickets? Oh my gosh.
Not for me.
Yeah,
Seven for me, 9 for my wife. So,
Right,
I'm going to go with 4 and then 6.
I agree with what Alistair says. Zelda Breath of the Wild was really lacking on story, but looked really good,
I agree with that. Yeah, it was.
That's what I've noticed about the later Final Fantasy games, and that's why I'm very critical of the remake of Final Fantasy VII. What are we going to get? what's the end product going to be. And unfortunately, you're not going to know until you see it. And that's going to be the difficult part, is you're never going to know until you see it played, until you spend the money on it. And it's like, oh, here we go. You know, is it going to be horrible, or is it going to be great and just going to blow your mind?
The only thing I ask for, 7, don't fuck with my materia system. It's the only thing I don't want you to screw with. Anything else, knock your socks off. You screw with my materia system, you're getting the bird from me.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
That did make a good game.
I don't know.
In the world of RPG nerds, yeah, for sure. That made the game. That was a great part of the story.
What is it called? Mysterious? What was that called?
Materia. It's the way the magic. And
want to keep Aerith alive? DLC pack, only $60.
Okay. Well, we got a special guest real quickly jumping on here, just to let you guys know. You'll see him on the stream momentarily. But Doge is in the house. What's up, Doge?
Hey, what's up, you bunch of scumbags? The show's live, huh? Who's got the balls calling me out, you fucking prick? I'll get even with you. Don't worry when I see you on the stream. But who's talking about Final Fantasy VII, The only fantasy you guys are going to see is the money getting out of your pocket and not having it anymore. I think that game's going to be a shit, like the shit that I just took in the bathroom.
Well, the story behind Final Fantasy is funny because the company was getting ready to go bankrupt, and this was their last attempt to make a game to pull them as their last attempt to their Final Fantasy, and then it just kept going, which was interesting.
It was actually a gift to the company from a retiring programmer as well. So it was their last ditch effort. And it was a gift from a retiree. And it became one of the most popular series of all time. Speaking of remakes, what do you guys feel about the Resident Evil 2 remake? We've seen demos for it.
Again, I don't.
Mr. Serious is shaking his head.
I just don't play these games. I am a retro to the core old school player. I just no. I don't like. I'm not a Resident Evil fan. So the game.
So the Mario Maker is like you being a Cub Scout in a whorehouse. It's just you're totally out of your element.
Pretty much. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously. No, I don't really play those. I mean, you know what? I guess it is partially. I have kids, and my kids rather play Parappa the Rapper, silly fun games. You're right. Mario's an easy game, so I don't. I mean, Resident Evil, I just never grew up playing. I just never did that. And now the opportunities are really there, and you know, my kids take over the stuff. I don't really play. So no, I don't play it. Unfortunately,
Parappa the Rapper is serious stuff, man. I think you're selling it. No, I'm there with you though. Actually, I've never played a Resident Evil game. They've just never really appealed to me. That's not really my thing. I know people love them. I've never seen the movies either. Yeah, I don't know. That's just one I don't have skin in that game.
Honestly, I think that was the turning point from retro to modern in terms of style was the PlayStation 1. And I think that's why we have such a wide array of opinions on these games that they're coming back and remaking. From my understanding, the Resident Evil 2 remake is a totally different game. It's not even the same game. It's not just a HD remake of the original Resident Evil 2. They are totally remastering it from the ground up.
Well, I heard it was a complete different.
Shit, huh?
I heard it was a complete different game too. Like it's not going to be the original, different story or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's what I heard. I didn't follow up much about it, so that's all I've always heard is that they were going to make a remake, but it's going to be a brand new, or a lot of changes to the show or whatnot. So
we have Matt Spoonmore saying, it's funny, I've had my youngest start playing NES games, and she said that they were really hard. And you know what? My kids have started playing retro games, true retro games, NES, SNES. And it's totally different from stuff that's coming out now, with the exception of crap like Mega Man 11 that's brutally hard. I didn't mean crap as in it's a bad game. I meant
it is crap.
you play it on normal mode, and it's like you get run over by a steamroller on a regular basis. It is not easy.
Well, look at these kids. These kids these days don't understand the shit that they play. I mean, who wants to play Fortnite? That's garbage. I mean, I watch people play that shit, and all I want to do is go to the bathroom and just shit some more. It's a horror show. I mean, I watch these kids play, what's that Nintendo game, Ninja Turtles? And they suck, and all I do is go, you guys suck. You guys should quit. Go back to playing Barbie or something. It's more entertaining. More your skill level.
So, Doge, if you want to see a good Ninja Turtles player, you need to go watch Super Retro Game Time.
Fuck that guy.
But,
he can kiss my ass, that guy, that prick. He sucks also.
No, but seriously, those hard levels, like Ronan Rose says, hard levels build skill, and the kids, my kids are playing Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, you know, these games, and they're having an easy time playing Mega Man 11, and me, I learned it by rote memorization. You know, you get the muscle memory in there, and you can play those games a million times. It doesn't work that way with the kids nowadays.
Don't mind me. If you look at Redbeard's thing, all my mail keeps popping up. What culture wrestling and shit like that. It's like, you know, the new news. Because I watch wrestling, that's why. So I'm like,
yep, Retrovet Gaming in the house. Big shout out to him.
What's up, Retch? What's going on?
Been playing some PUBG with our boy Insomniac. So big shout out.
Yeah, I heard he sucks also, that Insomniac game. Oh, another guy needs to go to fucking sleep. Get that guy some pills, please. Get him some pills.
You know what, though? It's crazy because Insomniac was always going to sleep when I was streaming. He's like, okay, guys, I got to go to bed. I'm tired. I'm like, dude, I thought you were an Insomniac.
Because you're boring there, dude. You're just a boring guy. I love it, huh?
No, that would be me, Mr. Talk Radio. I put people to sleep, 7 o'clock on a Saturday. What are you streaming? PC Simulator? Great. I had to have Retro Death Row come in there and spice it up with perversion to keep people fucking awake.
I will say that I had a lot of fun in that chat.
I enjoyed that. I was like saying that. I was like, we would try to like make you do like the worst thing: drop the PC, write a nasty email, tell people to go fuck themselves for their computer. That would have been great. I would have loved seeing that shit.
Yeah, I was like, put a lawnmower engine in that thing.
Yeah, take a shit in the computer would have been fantastic.
A couple Dorito chips will make it run faster. Yeah, absolutely.
Geek Squad story from my Geek Squad days. We actually found a dead rat in a computer once.
Oh shit! Talk about giving a rat's ass.
Yeah, exactly. This is why your computer is broken. You hold up a bag with a dead rat in it.
Please.
I don't know, guys, but I mean, again, once again, just the it is what it is when it comes to gameplay, pretty much. Yeah, that was a fun game. That I liked it. I thought it was funny. Maybe not the best for Saturday night,
Good for a Tuesday at like 1 in the morning when you can't sleep.
Yeah. It's the warm milk. No, it needed to be like on Sunday morning when golf's on or something, compete with that.
Golf, bowling, and computer simulation. Just my fucking categories to watch.
I want to stream DJ Hero 2 with my PlayStation 3, but I got to downgrade the quality. But I know the second I stream that damn thing, Facebook's fucking algorithm's going to be like, you're done.
Yeah.
You're fucking fired.
Oh, copyright stuff. Yeah.
Well, I learned something recently when me and my daughters were playing Just Dance and Just Dance has a lot of copyrighted songs, and we never got downgraded at all when it came to
and neither did my Donkey Kongo that I streamed. I'm like, really? All right. But yet when I play Mega Man 7, they're like, nope, fuck you. I'm like, serious?
Yeah.
Well, I try to save the level of playing because people like you suck at that game, so it's better off just keeping that game off the screen in the first place.
Guess so.
Oh, we got stars! We got some Roman Courtright. Where's the Bud Ice and the BBWs? Well, I'm going to be going back to them in a couple of minutes because these guys are absolutely terrible. Rome, I'll meet up with you. Let's get some titties. Let's get some of that booze and let's get fucking crazy.
The Retro Vet says, and this is probably true, the Deuce's favorite way to keep fans entertained is to talk about Pokemon erotica and blaming it on Justin RPG.
Oh man.
Definitely.
I love Reshiram.
Moltres is his mistress.
As is Rydia from Final Fantasy IV.
Oh boy, Jaylee Courtway checking in. We got Ronan Rose. I think we're all blessed in the sense that our generation were the ones that really set the bar, which is very true, for what the gamers want and what is appreciated. Sorry to say, my kids will never know what it's like to grind out games, figure out clues, and look at with no maps, and just play that shit and have fun. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no
Not to
Google or
mention-
anything, you know?
Not to mention
yeah.
bad Japanese translation, fellas. Bad Japanese.
I won't know that frustration. I always had Nintendo Power, so call me a spoiled little bitch. It's okay.
Well, Nintendo Power, that's something completely different, you know? Like, you had like an encyclopedia.
Yeah, really, the Britannica of Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh, I
But
always
think
thought,
about it though. Like, how many times did you get like completely stumped on a game to where you just could not get any further, and you had to just work and work and work to finally make it past that point? But you know the sense of accomplishment you felt when you're like, man, I owned this game. This game was
Fucking
fine.
Battletoads.
Just fooled it.
Oh,
And then you could
Battletoads,
tell all
yeah.
your friends. And
fuck that. Call that 900 number. Just don't tell your parents. You know?
Oh, I just
was
called
too
the
scared
number
of my
because I
dad.
was lonely, and there was a pretty girl on the other side of the phone. That's why I called it. So my mom got the bill, and it's like, no more Nintendo for you. That was my gateway.
Gateway drug.
I was too chicken to call. I couldn't do it.
I got in trouble the first time, and the first time I called the Nintendo Power Hotline, and after that, I had to ask.
They
I
didn't
was
used to
never
charge
told no.
for it. It used to be free when it started.
Correct. Yes, it was free when it first came out. Remember that. Well, that goes with the times. Nintendo had to make their money somehow. I mean, they're paying people, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that would have been a fucking great job. Just imagine you sitting on the other side and some kid's like, I can't get past the jumping point in Super Mario Brothers 1. And then, you help them out, but it's at the same time, you're just playing video games over there. I mean, that was a dream job for anybody that was really playing video games all the way back then. But
I can't tell you how many times I called for Secret of Mana.
I don't know. But anyway, let's continue with the subject with Nintendo. Did you know that there are more NES games now being released on that Nintendo Switch part of the online service?
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I don't own a Switch, but the library, it's pretty much, what is it? I believe it's all the NES mini games and maybe a couple of Capcom releases that were, I believe, that are on top of that. Redbeard, you were going to raise your hand like we were in school.
I wonder if in different regions, like say over in Japan, like where they got Famicom and they have different games for the Famicom on there. I wonder if their games for released like for the Switch are different than our release over here in North America.
There are a couple of games that they release differently. I know that. I have to look it up unless. I know, Grizz, you're pretty quick at the computer. Can you see the differences between these Famicom and the NES USA? I can't do it the second, but
Yeah, no, that's cool. I've got quad screen here. So from if I'm talking on a quick basis for like NES versus like Famicom for like the classic editions, I know that there was some differences there for like example Super Nintendo, they would give us Tetris Attack, but they wouldn't on the thing. So there's some subtle nuances that were more popular games over there versus what we have. I don't have the exact chart, but let me go and pull that up. No, that's fine.
I know you because my dual screen is like totally wiped out. I can't do much right this second.
No, that's good. Continue talking. It's gonna take me a second.
Retro Vet says,
Leisure Suit Larry.
Katie, does Deuce mistakenly yell out Moltres in bed? And my wife said, yes, it has.
Oh.
Well, let's see. Roman Courtwright already saying, can someone donate him a Switch? Come on, guys. Let's get on the fucking ball here. All our watchers out there. Let's get him a fucking Switch now. Nintendo's the only company to keep innovation and the fans alive, in my opinion. I agree with that, Ronan. I mean, look at the concepts. I mean, they made the Wii. They made the Wii U. Now the Switch. I mean, they are. I believe they're the pioneers of pretty much everything. You don't really see. And also, I know Sega's actually trying to get back into the console market shortly, but who knows what they're possibly doing.
Yeah.
Or not.
Well, someone just
I don't
wipe
know,
their Switch and change a region. That'd be quicker than what this has given me so far.
My thing is like with the Sega Genesis, they might be better off just releasing digital content, or even just games for other platforms after, the failure of and retail failure, not necessarily failure of the games, of the Dreamcast and 32X and the Sega CD. They just said, okay, we're done in the console area. We're just going to produce games. And I think they should stick with that model. That's probably a little bit more profitable market, especially with and for those of you that aren't in the computer world, we're going to see a huge rise in computer prices with the tariffs to China. Processors going up, memories going up, and it's there's actually predicting a shortage, not just a raise in price, but an actual shortage.
Huh.
Yeah.
Let's see. Going back into the chat real quickly. Roman Cartwright once again. Sorry, I'm a little drunk hanging out with my cousin Big Chrome tonight.
Oh God.
Harvey Ramos, 95 stars earlier as well. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Keep in mind, all stars are donated to our charity over in Boston, Massachusetts. I can never remember the name of it for some reason.
Boston Children's Hospital.
Boston Children's Hospital. See, I'm in New York, so I can, I'd be like New York Children's Hospital. I know it's in Boston. Matt,
and that's the Children's Miracle Network is who that's through. So
Yes.
it's through definitely a reputable
very true.
charity.
Matt,
So
go ahead, shoot.
no, at first glance, from just quickly looking over this here, and I could be wrong because I'm not going to click a video and have you guys blast it out audio-wise, but it looks like most of the games are going to be pretty much the same on the Japan side versus our side. But a fun fact, I'd be curious to try it out because the Switch is region-free and just set it up to the Japan region. When you play The Legend of Zelda 1 or even Metroid, sound effects and their music are completely different,
Yes.
and Zelda 2 very much so.
Yep.
So that'd be fun to see if I could, create a new profile. But I don't think it works based on profile. I think it based on console region when you initially set it up. So who doesn't have a Switch? Because I already bought Deuce one and I'm tapped. So somebody else help somebody else out.
I don't
And I'm
get a
very
Switch.
appreciative of that, Chris, believe me.
Here's a
No worries.
random comment. Matt Spoonmore, Leisure Suit Larry. Okay,
Yep.
great game.
Yep, we got to get somebody on that. Redbeard, you got Leisure Suit Larry?
I don't know.
You look like Leisure Suit Larry right now.
Hey, Kill playing Leisure Suit Larry, that'd be hysterical.
It's a good game, Leisure Suit Larry. I played
Yeah.
it before. Let's
We
see.
got the Retro Runner in the house.
Retro Runner. What's
Yeah.
going on? Let's see. Coy Carter as well, checking in as well. Ian Scott. Just going through the listing here, Retrovet Gamer. Robin Villarreal says, my OT at work is on hold for the moment, so I'm penny pinching. Okay. He's starting to save a little money to hopefully get Roman a Switch. That'll be really nice. What a nice guy there, Robert.
Yeah, you missed it, Retrovet. Retrovet is saying he wants to run his fingers through Retro Death Row's beard, but Redbeard was the only one giving Retro Death Row a run for his money, and he shaved it.
Yeah.
Let me clean mine up for a second. Let's see if I get any good commentary. You know?
Retrovet. Do it.
See, as soft as a puppy, so really nice. Anyway, Ian Scott, what's up, people? And Matt Spoonmore, the Amiga Classic it is. That's what I'm waiting for, an Amiga.
Yeah.
I know didn't they have something that became a Kickstarter scam and some shit for the Amiga? I know that.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
scam. I thought the re-release of the Atari. Sorry.
No,
Continue.
no. It's
Ugh.
the Amiga. I had an Amiga when I was really young. What a fun system. Computer-wise, that was great. I love that stuff.
Yeah, we got Jason Williams, aka Retrovet, with 100 stars.
There we
Woohoo!
go. Stars
Oh
up.
yeah.
Stars
There you
up,
go,
buddy.
baby.
As a matter of fact, here, let me do something for star donations real quick. We'll get right back to the screen. Check it out. Here we go.
Now to continue my tour. Now, you little Badinsky, you! I'm going to take your hands off of me!
I came here to see stars, and I ain't leaving till I see them. See?
Well, for goodness sake, why didn't you tell me? I could show you all the stars.
You could, chum, buddy, pal, brother, friend. You honest and truly could?
Sure. Here.
That's the stars. You can see right
Look
here.
at all the pretty
I'm a huge Bugs Bunny fan, so I thought it'd be fun to throw a little stars for all the people that donated stars today. Thank you so much. Little star donation fund there. Big Bugs Bunny, you know that. Daffy Duck fan. All good.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Retro Death Row. Good question by Ronan Rose. What is your opinion on the Sega failed as a console company?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't know if we have that much time left in the show, but I'll say this, though, as to why Nintendo has lasted and why Sega hasn't is because Nintendo has always placed the focus on the games themselves. The games are king. You know, having fun is always king in the game. And Sega got really, really focused on one-upsmanship of Nintendo. And that's really what ended up shooting it. You know, with, you know, of course, coming with the Genesis, and then you got the 32X, and then the CD add-on, and then this thing. Oh, it's like you got this Frankenstein console here that's like jack of all trades, master of none, and the customers are feeling betrayed because it's like, hey, I just bought this other thing, and now there's this other thing. What the heck? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I could go on and on and on about that, but in the end, like I said, Nintendo is always focused on the games themselves and making sure that everything stays fun and accessible. Now, as well as innovation in how to consume those games, which people have not always enjoyed, you know, whether, you know, you're a motion control hater or not, but that's why I feel like Nintendo's lasted and Sega didn't. Sega just was trying so hard to please Daddy, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, and I think Sega hit the hardest competition, and it did not simplify its systems enough. It had, you know, the Dreamcast. Look at the controller; it's just overwhelming. You look at, again, back to your point, Retro Death Row. You had the Genesis, the 32X, the Sega CD. In this Frankenstein, you had to figure out how to put it together. You had to buy new games for each one, instead of just saying, we're releasing this one system. It's new. It's going to be a little bit more pricey, but you'll be able to play Genesis, and which is where PlayStation came in right at the end of that Sega, you know, blow up, and said, literally, if you look at the announcement for the PlayStation versus the announcement for the Dreamcast, the announcement for the Dreamcast is its capabilities and this revolutionary new controller and this and that and the other thing, and it was all about how great the console was. PlayStation got up on the platform, Sony did, and its whole presentation for the PlayStation was $299. They walked off the stage and done. Or $199. It was $200 instead of $300. Walked off the stage, dropped the mic, and PlayStation killed the Dreamcast and the remainder of Sega.
It was the PlayStation 2 that was fighting against the Dreamcast, wasn't it?
I thought it was the PlayStation.
I think it was because, from my understanding, how, and I'm not meaning to step over and Yaduce there, but the thing is, the thing that I think Sega would have done better, yeah, the Sega CD, fine. Kill the 32X, skip the Saturn, add a DVD drive in the Dreamcast, and Sega would still be here today, in my opinion.
Yeah. And maybe it was the PlayStation 2, because the whole thing was that
DVD.
Sony's console was $100 less than Sega's console, and people were already anticipating the games. And what are they going to spend their money on? They're going to spend their money on the games. They're going to spend thousands of dollars on games, not on the console itself to play it. Yeah. And so Sony comes out, they throw down the price point, $100 less than the Dreamcast, and they walk off stage. Done. Story over. Sega's out. And
yeah, because PlayStation 2 dropped March 4th of 2000, and I believe I'm not sure the Japanese or the in March 4th in Japan, whereas Dreamcast dropped in the US at $99.99, which everyone remembers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
that.
So the announcement was at like reasonably the same time, and it was the price point that killed it. Like I said, it was complexity, price point, and not focusing on the customer. You were focusing on your product, which is fine. But if you leave the customer behind of anything in a sales market, if you leave the customer behind anything on that train, you're gonna fail. Period.
True. All right, well, real quick, I know we're winding down to near the end of the show, but I want to give the fans a really big interaction. I just, was going about this earlier. People are asking questions away in the chat. We're going to start picking up some questions, and, we'll give some answers. So Ronan Rose is asking, Deuce, top 5 SNES games for you. Shoot away.
Oh, boy. I'm going to say Final Fantasy II, which we now know is 4. Chrono Trigger right after that. Then Final Fantasy III, which we now know is 6, Mega Man X, and then Mega Man X3.
Okay. I guess that's it.
I'm a role-playing game nerd. I can't make any apologies for that, Brian. Sorry.
you are an RPG nerd. I agree with that. No worries about that. Let's see. Going into there, let me save that question. Robert Villarreal saying, what about the Atari Jaguar and the CD attachment? What about that? That was another monstrosity part of the old console wars, 64-bit, 128-bit. Look at this shit.
Do the math.
Christina Serrano saying she's only watching the stream because she is sick of seeing that Retro Runner guy.
Nice.
Let's see. Matt Spoonmore saying,
Sega Dreamcast! It's Sega Dreamcast!
Eric Cartman voice. Sorry, blowing your ears out there. All right. Ronan Rose Games equals Honey. Jason Williams, he doesn't mind. Let's see. Any questions out there? Head out the questions. Shoot away. Let's see. Retro Vet Gaming. Let's see. Something about chasing games. I have no idea what that is. I do. Rumor has it, just to let you guys know, we're going to have the Game Chasers possibly coming up and in an upcoming episode of Breakdown in February. So look out for that very, very soon. We're already currently in talks with them, which is fantastic. And let's see. Just going through the chat, backing it up. We already talked about Retro Death Row's beard. I gotta do this. Come on. I gotta clean my beard up because no one wants to run their fingers through my fucking beard,
By the way, for you bearded gentlemen, did you know that without regular washing, your beard has more types and numbers of bacteria and viruses than a toilet seat?
All right, time to get to shaving.
Herbal essences. Oh, yeah.
Herbal essences.
I wash and I oil my beard every day.
Ronan Rose, great question. If you could design a console, what features would you all be looking for? And obviously, he says he would be looking for storage on that. What would you guys? What features would you do in a console?
Cartridges. That's what I would do.
Heck yes.
Cartridges again.
Amen to that, brother.
Oh yeah.
Number 1 is backwards compatibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. That was my shot.
Number one. You could have very little storage, very little memory, but if it had backwards compatibility to plug in old games, old memory cards, you've got the market. Honestly, you've got the market.
Oh my god, this chat's getting a little perverted right now. Someone wants to lick Death Row's beard. Sick motherfuckers here.
Understandable feeling.
with his beard.
What is this,
Complicated.
What is this, a sequel to Clerks? What the hell?
That's what I deal with every day, man.
This became a porn shop. Robert
I can't go to
Villarreal.
the store.
Robert Villarreal saying thoughts on the 3DO. Everybody familiar with that? I am. I actually own it.
Yep. 3DO.
Yes, overpriced games. Oh, wait.
Right. Just it was kind of like the Neo Geo to me,
Yeah.
as far as the concept. Overpriced console, overpriced games. Very little market for it.
Would you like a miniature arcade that hooks up to your TV in your home? I can't afford it now.
What's
found.
Ooh, look at that
Ooh.
beauty.
Neo Geo X. Actually, this is the handheld console, but yeah, this was I bought this. This was a beauty to own. Very, very hard to find now. Well, not hard to find, but it's not very uncommon. Works really good.
SNK
Yeah.
sequel to Crystallis. Oh wait,
Crystallis, right? You mean?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd take a TurboGrafx 16 over a 3DO.
Bonk. There you go.
Yes, TG16,
Yes.
another great system. That was
Bonk for
phenomenal.
the win.
Let's see. Frank is asking us, do any of us modify systems? I don't. I don't do that.
Just a little bit of hack chi on my NES and SNES Classic, and because I'm just putting games on there that I already physically own it. So the ones that I'm archiving to put on my Classic editions, suck it, Nintendo, and don't sue me, please.
Well, if you own the game already, it's not illegal to archive it and put it digitally on the NES Classic. You legally have the rights to play that. So, I mean, you would Frank, that's probably something you would want to personal message people about, not necessarily throw it out in chat because of how Sue happy Nintendo is.
You
right
get a
now.
court order, and you're like, I need to go buy some retro games before I go to my hearing.
Ah, here we go. Christina Serrano. Here's a fun one. If you guys had to sleep with one retro game player, how many times did you sleep with the retro runner?
All of them. He's a sexy beast.
Oh boy.
He
Depends
is
which
an
spoon I
attractive
get to
man,
be, I
yes.
guess. I don't know.
Choice would be.
Let's see.
I know who Retro Death Row's choice would be. His thing for the gray hair.
You know, I've got a weakness for it. Okay, I'll say it all the time, and I'll say it again. I'm not gay. I'm just gay for Nick Clark.
Hey, once you go gray, there's no other way.
Word.
Ian Scott says a moment of silence for my beard that once was.
You know what? I don't feel a moment of silence. I feel a tribute stream coming on.
That's right.
Yes.
Tribute.
We gotta do a tribute stream.
It's a good,
Give a like,
it's
a
good
follow, and
idea.
a share.
Save Redbeard's beard. Let's see. Never Snagging Arm saying, "It's gotta get back to work. Have a good show, guys. Well appreciated." And Matt Spoonmore, Home Arcade. What do you guys think of that? Obviously, MAME. I'm a big MAME fan. I love MAME. What do you guys think about the MAME stuff?
I
dig it.
I like.
I really want one.
What kind of interesting segue into that? One thing that has come up this week is the arcade 1-ups are getting a retool
I like it.
due to the poor quality that they came out of the box in and high price point. It was like you're paying $300 for a broken system. Well, they're taking care of that, which is kind of nice.
Actually, I like the choices now. Final Fight has its own console. NBA Jam
Oh,
Tournament
nice.
Edition has one. Mortal Kombat has
Sweet.
one. I believe there's another one that I'm missing. I can't remember. That was just as good. But the choices now with that, absolutely great. Me personally, I'm going to be going after the Capcom one with Final Fight because it has Strider on it. As well as I think it's Bionic Commando. I believe is on that. I could be wrong, but
Sweet.
I definitely want that one. And obviously, I'm more of a Street Fighter fan, so I own the Street Fighter one already. But the Mortal Kombat looks very enticing too because it's Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and I think Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, if I remember correctly. That's a hell of a shot. Everyone can make this.
I could dig a Miss Pac-Man. I mean, that would be cool with me because
Yeah.
the old school
Yeah.
classics. I mean, the thing about MAMEs is like, yeah, individual games are just like less than 5. I think is a good thing because if you get one of those cabinets, just in my honest opinion, that has like 6,000 games, you end up flipping through the games for 20 minutes and then like, well, I don't want to play anything because I can't decide. Whereas if you keep it more simplistic, I think it's more fun in that regards. That's just me though.
Well,
Go ahead.
There's no flipping. I just know what I'm playing. I'm playing Burger Time. That's what's going to happen.
that's a great
Yeah.
game. I love Burger Time.
You freaking nerd.
Damn eggs.
I won't deny it.
What the hell are eggs doing in a freaking burger joint anyways? I don't put eggs on my burgers. What is this,
Don't
a
put
breakfast
eggs on your
sandwich?
burger. Oh my god! Is that
No.
a Southern thing? Eggs on your burger?
I don't.
Oh,
I eat
yeah,
it.
it's
I eat it.
Robin
Meat,
has it.
cheese, bun. I'm done.
It's a Texas thing. I believe they call it a Roadhouse burger. I believe it has an egg on it.
Roadhouse.
So I believe. I
Red
could be wrong.
Robin has them. Steak and Shake has them. Yeah, it's not just a Southern thing, man. It's
Or that
everywhere.
Sugarfoot's Sugarfoot's Barbecue has them.
Oh, that is totally South freaking Texas, whatever you go.
Well, I can't speak. I'm from Seattle, and our freaking baseball team thinks that our main attraction is to eat raw or this cricket crap. And I'm like, really? That's what we're going to represent West Coast? You're not giving me a good name here, folks.
So the Mariners, you're a Mariners fan?
Oh, yeah. Seattle sports for life.
Oh,
so I'm just West Coast.
Yeah, you on
So
that.
we're getting a hockey team. Yay, finally. In a year or two.
Bad, not bad. All right.
Burger time now with downloadable content for Robert Miller.
Yeah.
Burger time.
They need to bring all the WiiWare games that they're discontinuing that you will not be able to play anymore over to the Switch. They need to do that.
Yeah. Why has that not already happened?
If you don't have the homebrew on there, once the service gets cut off, you won't be able to play them anymore, and that's crap.
What is that? At the end of this month, I think they cut that service.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cash grab. I mean, it's obviously they're going to port them over to the Switch, but you're still going to have to fucking pay for them again when you get them on the Switch. See, to me, that's the one thing I don't like about you go online, you download a game, and then once the service is gone forever, if you're right, if you don't keep that game, or you keep it in Nintendo should have a cloud, like a straight cloud when you get a game, it should be able to be available on this console, whatever you own. But once it's gone for that console that you have it on, and then you upgrade yourself, you have to buy it all over again. So I mean, they're really smart on that, and it makes us people that that purchasing. Oh well, I just bought it for $6.99. Like what? Donkey Kong for the NES. I know it's on the Wii, but for $6. And now the service is done. And you're like, oh, fuck, I can't get it. Well, the Switch has it now for $6. I'm like, fuck, you got to pay that again,
What was it? When I transferred it from my Wii to my Wii U, it was free, but if I wanted to play it in tablet mode only, you had to pay an additional, like, $2 or $3 to do that. And I'm like, so I bought my T-shirt, and then I decided to wash it. I want to wear it the next day, but, like, no, you got to pay another $2 to wear it? What the hell is that?
Fucking stupid.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and that's why I think physical media, cartridges, discs, will never die. You can't kill physical media because you're going to have old-fashioned, butt-holed, gray-haired jerks like us that come up and just say, no, I'm not going to pay for this game more than once. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
Well, I love Netflix, but I still buy Blu-rays because when that movie disappears, I can still go put my classic movie back in again.
I get Kodi.
Same deal.
That. I use Kodi. A lot easier.
Plex.
Yeah, Plex. Ian Scott saying Nintendo is handling ROM technology all wrong, in my opinion. They're doing a disservice to the fans. What do you guys think about that?
No, I totally agree. If they're gonna crack down on ROMs, they need to make them available in some other way, even if it's paid. Say, okay, you can download this ROM that is not available anywhere else, that we don't have anywhere else, for $3. You could download it.
I don't even care if you sell me a console that's exclusive by Nintendo that only that works and it's an online paid deal to pay these games you can't play anywhere else. I'm down. I don't even care.
Yep.
Seriously.
I'd agree on that one. Yeah.
Well, I think Brian had a great point with the cloud service. You buy the game, you play it on any console you want.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Any capable console. Yeah.
Yep. Because I mean, they're unifying their controller ports now. Like I can plug my Wii U, my Wii controller, all that kind of stuff into an NES Classic.
Yeah.
And play any Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis game on my NES Classic, modded. I just got to have a controller with enough buttons to play it. Boom, done.
Very true, very true.
Cloud service connected to those. Yep, done.
Ronan Rose asked the question, how do you stop piracy, though?
You don't.
This has been the problem with Nintendo forever. And I'm going to answer your question first. I'm going to say you don't stop piracy.
Nope.
You're never going to stop it. You're not going to stop it. But this is the problem that Nintendo's had forever. Nintendo 64, cartridges instead of discs. Why? Because they were afraid of piracy. GameCube, the tiny little discs. Why? Because they were afraid of piracy. It goes on and on.
Here's
and
piracy
on
at its best right here. All
Yeah.
terabyte drives full to the max with ROMs of everything you can imagine.
Yeah, you can just send those my way. I'll send you my address when we're done.
Oh, would you get a NAS for God's sakes? Jeez.
But they make all these decisions of limiting themselves because of the fear of piracy. And what has history taught us is that you're never going to stop hackers. You know, the Switch was out for like a week and someone had hacked it already.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. So just put out a quality product, charge for it, and I can guarantee you that there's tons of people that are never gonna have the time or the guts or the know-how to hack anything, but they'll pay you good money to do something legally that they're gonna want to do.
Sure.
Very, very true with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, there are a lot of people that like me that resort to piracy because they can't play the games any other way. I may have a cartridge, but I don't have a console to play it on. So what am I going to do? I'm going to download the ROM. It's not technically piracy because I own the rights to the game, but I have to rely on people that have pirated those games into ROMs in order to play them.
Historical archiving is what I like to call it.
And it is for people like, you know, that do it ethically. It is archiving, but but we have to rely on pirates to do those archives.
Well, like example, like when the Wii came out, 2006, and then they announced the big virtual console, mind blowing. I waited until after the console had died, even the Wii U, for like Crystallis or Crystal's an example, never came to the virtual console. I'm like, are you serious? Among many other great games.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's, I mean, Brian, you made, again, it brings us right back to that round robin. If you had that cloud service where you could just purchase any game, or take a scan of my physical media, take a picture of me holding my physical media right up. Fine by me.
Fuck that. I'm downloading illegally. I couldn't give a shit.
Just gonna put it on my shoulder like a parrot during my streams. I got the copy. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Arg, see, look at it.
So, well, guys, we're going to wrap it up. One quick check on the comments real quick before we wrap it up. We have
Tyler
Ronan Rose asked something. What is the arcade that you lost the most quarters to?
Oh. Let's see. I'll go.
Turtles Arcade.
Nah.
Me too, Grizz. Me too. The first one.
Yeah,
Which one was this?
Turtles Arcade.
Oh
The-
man,
the-
yeah,
the
that was a
original
big
one.
one.
That was
Followed
a
by Bubble Bobble and Miss Pac-Man.
I put a lot of mine in X-Men.
Ooh, yeah. That's
Great
another
game.
good one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think mine. Mine was always. I played like. Actually, a tough game that I enjoyed was Star Wars, the video game with the the Vectrex. That was actually one of the very first games that I pumped a lot of quarters in. I was actually in the sit-down one where you actually had to use the joystick, and that was really fun. But
Terminator 2 with the gun at bowling alley.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, mine, and it's funny because it's not one that most would think of, but it's the game Toki. And the
gorilla.
reason why is because it was at my local pizza place.
Yes.
I played the crap out of that thing because they only had like 2 games, and I forget what the other one was. Obviously, it wasn't any good.
Oh, the Simpsons arcade and the top-down Galaga
Ooh,
at Pizza Hut. Oh,
Ah,
that was the days.
Yeah.
Simpsons was a fun game too. Actually, a lot of those 4-player games. Surprised they don't really bring those games back much anymore. You don't see that. Kind of like in that 3-dimensional but still a 2D standing style game. It's what do they call it? A linear game. You don't really see that much anymore. Mostly they're all like the PUBGs and all that stuff. So you kind of like disperse everywhere you want to go. It'd be fun to see some games come back in that that 3-dimensional but still 2D linear gameplay. It would be a lot of fun. I mean, Mario does it now, but that's like the only series you still see that does that. Nobody else really anymore. At least what I know.
So, one last question before we wrap this up. Retrovet says, any thoughts on Shenmue 3, if you think it'll be epic or not?
I do. Well, I have Shenmue 1 and 2, and I played the first game all the way through. The second one I never really got deep into, and it was just a lot to do. You really got to dedicate your time to play it, I guess. I mean, the first one was fun. I had a Dreamcast, so I really played the shit out of it. The second one I actually played more when the Dreamcast had emulation, but beyond that, no, I don't know. I don't. It's great, but I don't know if it's worth the time consuming.
Yep. And honestly, I never played the first two Retrovet, so I can't answer that question for you.
Likewise.
So, yep. A lot of people are saying for theirs, Pit Fighter, Golden Axe.
Golden Axe was tough as shit. I hated that game.
Yeah.
Soul Calibur 1, Chad Thibodeau with 1/4.
Wow.
Ouch.
I used to play
Crazy.
I was a virtual.
Used to play the Neo Geo arcades too, a little bit off and on.
The only thing I never liked about those is that they were time-based, too, so they only give you, like, 3 minutes of gameplay. And then after that third minute, here's only 25 cents. I'm like, I'm halfway through the fucking game already. And I got to play another quarter for... I hate time games. I can't stand that. I never liked that.
Yeah.
Sunset Riders was another popular one. Double Dragon, very good. Go ahead.
Yep, Samurai Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Another
classic.
classic.
That was a good one, too, Ronan.
Love that game.
Yep.
All right, well, I mean, what else we got to talk about, guys? We're good to go? I mean, I don't even know how long we've been on so far. Oh, almost an hour and a half. Wow.
Hour and 24 minutes.
And 0 drop frames. Thank you for purchasing a brand new gigabyte fucking, speed wheel of Verizon service here.
And all I'm saying is how much are you throwing down on that?
Yeah, you don't want to fucking know. You don't want to know. Just to love you guys. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Hey, I pay $130 just for internet alone, and it's, what is it, 100 down, 5 up, so knock your socks off.
Can't beat that at all. Absolutely. All right, and final comments from the Doge. Where are you, Doge? Right here. Anything last to say?
Fuck you guys. My favorite game was taking a shit in the bathroom and just enjoying it while I was watching you guys spend your money because I was playing a free game. How to drop it in the toilet. How to do a deuce. You get a deuce.
You and your Angry Birds.
How about Angry Deuces?
You leave one of those liquid ones for me on my bathroom rug.
Oh, all the time. I'll leave a special
Right up the wall.
All right, those for you next time, you frick. All right.
All right, guys. I think that's it. Again, guys, thanks for the stars today. Thanks aboard. GrizB13 checking in at the last minute. Well knowledgeable guy. Check out his page. You want to give a quick plug to your page there, pal?
Yeah, it's just facebook.com/GrizzlyB. It's going to look like 13, but it's actually 13. So, yeah, I'll be on Saturday at 7 o'clock Seattle time, or to put you to sleep at 10 o'clock Eastern. So,
real quick, though, what does the B13 mean?
Okay, so the quick story, and just to go through this really fast, Grizzly B actually used to be Grizzly Brett 13. Grizzly was a nickname given to me by the girls of the girls swim team, of which I managed for 2 years in high school. 13 was my stepdad's lucky number, rest in peace. And then Brett, a lot of people think the B means bear, but it actually is my name, Brett. So that's the quick wrap of that.
Obviously, because of the goatee and the scruff. Okay, cool, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
I growl when I get angry at my games too, so it fits. So.
Well, guys, appreciate it for checking in. Thank you guys, Retrovet Gaming, Ronan Rose, Harvey Ramos, Antoine Gemini Tucker checking in as well, Stanley Spicer, Chad Thibodeau, Matt Spoonmore, everybody of Robert Villarreal, the real Roman Courtright and the fake Roman Courtright. I found there was a fake one that was fucking around with him. Tyler Farley, Jason Williams, all you guys out there. Once again, thanks for watching. We are the Breakdown Retro Revolution style, guys. Thanks for watching. You guys want to say goodbye?
Peace.
Have a good night, everybody.
Right,
Goodbye.
Okay, guys. Have yourselves a good one. Let me throw some tunage on. We are out of here. See you guys later.
Peace.
Find the right fucking screen. Here we go. Have you guys later.